going on? This is Damns It All, show about the USACE mission and why it's important. It's a new year, and you know what that means? A new calendar. And if we got just the new calendar for you. Our wildly popular cat and dog calendars are now available for download, and you're just gonna melt over the little cuties that we have in store for you in 2025. These calendars feature 24 adorable little fur babies, and it went viral a few years ago. And it all started with the social media post. And if you're not following our social media yet, you got to. It's really phenomenal. I did social media for 10 years in my last job, and I can tell you that our accounts here at USACE Portland are the best the government has to offer. It's creative and engaging, and it's the brainchild of our social media manager, Chris Gaylord. Coming up, I got an interview with Chris where we talk about how our social media is different, the posts that got us into the most trouble, and the pet calendars that made national news. But first, let's meet my amazing pets, Sierra and Nevada. We got Sierra from a local rescue 10 years ago. Now, my dream dog was a half lab, half Queensland heeler. I'd always had one of each growing up, and I thought the mixture of the two would be the perfect mutt, because mutts are more healthy. I didn't want any purebred. And you never really know what you're gonna get when you go the adoption route, but Sierra ended up being exactly what I was looking for. She's the perfect Frisbee dog, and she's most at home on the trail, where we spend a lot of time. She's smart and loves affection like my yellow labs that I had growing up, and she's always on guard and right on my hip like the Queensland Blue heelers we always had patrolling our little ranch in Northern California. And about a month later, we rescued her little sister kitty, Nevada. I let my youngest name the kitten, and after we saw how much she looked like Sierra's twin, I joked that we should name her Nevada, like they were a package deal. Well, the name stuck, and this little predator has been roaming the neighborhood for the last decade. She's super affectionate with me and thinks my lap is her own personal property, but not so much with other folks. The neighbors have dubbed her the killer kitty, one because she's constantly bringing us rodents and lizards, but also because if you're not in the family, she has an edge to her. One pet, you're safe. Two pets, you're pushing it. And the third pet, well, she's gonna turn on you like a lion on a gazelle. But she cuddles right up with us. I love my pets, and we know you do too. And that's why we decided to feature the pets from our USACE teammates in our very popular pet calendars that we put out every year. I got the creator of the calendar and our social media guy to chat with us about what makes our social media platforms different than how the rest of the government agencies do it. Thanks for joining us, Chris. I know you got a lot going on managing 4 social media platforms by yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah, sure.
Now, you didn't always just focus on social media, right?
Yeah, so kind of end of 2019, beginning of 2020 was when I was social media and employee comms, and then over the next year, as I started to have a little bit more success and put a little bit more time and energy towards social media, employee comms kind of dropped off, and we really reached our final form.
Now, do you remember the moment or the post that you made when you realized that social media was going to be a full-time gig?
Actually, almost exactly 5 years ago today, I put the first what I would call unhinged kind of ridiculous post up on our Facebook, and it was Yams on Dams, if you remember that. You've heard of Elves on Shelves, but have you heard of Yams on Dams? Or I just put a collage. And within minutes, it became clear that okay, this is the way to engage with people on social media, because we'd never seen numbers like we saw even within the first couple hours of that post. And that whole afternoon was spent just replying to and interacting with people who follow us and people who had just stumbled upon our account. It sounds cliche, but it was really kind of a magical moment where we realized this is what social media should be. And we just never really looked back from there.
So what do you think the role of our social media should be?
The ultimate goal is to interact with our publics, right? We are public servants. We have information that we have to put out there for our communities, for those who are impacted by the work that we do. So that's the very baseline goal. But really our goal has always been to grow our reach and exposure. My view is that you can put whatever information you want out there, but if you don't have the kind of long-standing, long-term reputation. People don't trust you. They don't like you. They don't find you interesting. I mean, it's just going to go into like a black hole, right?
Was this different way of doing things immediately accepted across the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers?
Oh, by the rest of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers? No. You know that. You knew the answer to that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially in the federal government, humor can be a tough sell because, we're part of the Department of Defense. On top of that's another complication, within just being a government agency, we're pretty buttoned up. And so, and you have a lot of folks too, I think, who have been around here for a long time and they've been doing really great work, but they tend to look at the way that we're talking about ourselves on social media through an internal lens, where they don't recognize the value that can come from being a bit silly, being personable, using levity. But they, as an employee of the district, take their reputation very seriously, as they should, and they kind of just assume that folks will feel that they don't, that we should not be taken seriously as an organization because of that. But I've had my uphill battles. It's been interesting, but just keep going.
Has there ever been a post that you thought would get you fired?
The Oscar slap, the famous Oscar slap. I did not think that post would get me fired, but I knew it would be pushing the boundaries of what people are comfortable with. We were ordered to take it down eventually. Under my management, that's the only post I've ever had to remove that I came up with, and it was a moment of defeat, but it was a very unusual. Things unfold pretty quickly on social media, and it always felt like I actually at the time thought that slap was all fake. It was all choreographed, and it was everywhere as a meme. So I was like, okay, as a society, we're okay with kind of being funny about this, and it got this really great reception within the first couple hours, and then it just turned, and all of a sudden people were like, that's not okay to show someone slapping someone.
If that was the most controversial post you made, would you say that the pet calendars have been the most successful thing you've ever done? Did it go viral?
Yes, I would say it's probably the only thing I've ever done that I believe objectively was viral, because it was very popular when we put it out was at the end of October. And I kind of teased it too. I was like, we're making a cat calendar, and I just used one image, and people are like, no way, you better be serious. People are already preemptively getting mad at us, like, don't lie to me. And I was like, shoot, this has got to happen. We put it out. It was popular. People were so thrilled that we, that we made that product and it's free, but also that we did what we said we were going to do. But it didn't really take off till the first week of January, when I was contacted by Today Show, and I was blown away. I was knocked out of my chair. We were on the homepage of Today Show's website, and that was the craziest thing ever for me. We were on a few big podcasts. We were in USA Today. We were in, all of our local outlets here, the Oregonian. I think we made it onto every TV affiliate. CNET wrote an article about us, Board Panda, Gizmodo, TV affiliates across the country that were covering it on their morning shows. I think we got to close to 550,000 downloads. So that's by far the most downloaded thing in the history of the USACE Digital Library. I mean, I don't know by what order of magnitude, but it was just being talked about and shared around and praised in so many corners of the world, really. It was really pretty miraculous to sit there and watch.
And finally, I know from personal experience, social media can be a ton of work to manage. So what's your favorite part of the job?
It's just a fun job. It really is. It can also be really frustrating. We've had people threaten us, get upset with us. We had somebody tell us we should jump off one of our dams. You see a lot of the ugliness of people because they're kind of behind relative anonymity, but there's also so much just joy, right? With people we're interacting with. It's those conversations with those people who see us showing up and trying, even if we're not the best out there at social media. We're really trying to engage with our publics. Yeah, it's having that sort of parasocial relationship with the people that we serve and beyond. That's really rewarding. Feeling like you've created a positive perception of your organization. Sometimes people can't see that or don't want to believe in it, but I believe that we've done a lot to be thought of fondly on social media, and that means a lot to me. It feels rewarding. I'm not a healthcare hero or anything like that, but you know, I feel like sometimes I do something that matters.
Thanks again, Chris, for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed to our social media accounts, I highly recommend following us on Facebook, Twitter, Threads, and Instagram. Our Instagram is fire. You're going to love it if you jump on there. If you have any questions for Chris about our social media program, just drop them in the comments. I'll make sure he gets those. And as we already talked about earlier, that boy will answer those questions. I guarantee it. And you can find a link to both our cat and dog calendars in the description below. Thanks for hanging out with me on another Damns It All. I really cherish this time that we get to spend together. For USACE Portland, I'm Luke Burns. Boy.